All right, world history students, these are your notes on the Byzantine Empire. So, the capital of the Byzantine Empire was Constantinople, and we get the name Byzantines from the previous name of the city, which was Byzantium. Constantine rebuilt the city of Byzantium and named it after himself. It was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. So when they split it in two, this was the second capital of Rome. And like we read about, Constantine made people move there. He established a senate to try to make this an equal city with Rome. It's located in a great place geographically. It's right at the crossroads between Asia and Europe. So anyone who wanted to trade from one side to the other had to go through it. It's easily protected. It has a good harbor. And it's a trade crossroads. Justinian is the most famous of the Byzantine emperors and the only one whose name you need to know. He was the emperor from 527 to 565 CE. He is responsible for building the church of Hagia Sophia, which means holy wisdom in Greek. And he organized the Roman laws into the Justinian or Justinianic code and created a new code of law. This law was very harsh. It outlawed any religion that wasn't Christianity, and it was not necessarily the most pleasant set of laws to live under. He was an autocrat. An autocrat is a single one, ruler with complete authority, so he could do whatever he wanted. This is Hagia Sophia. Here is the giant dome that we talked about in class. You can't see the pendentives that are underneath, but they come like this. These minarets were added later, and we'll talk when we talk about Islam about the purpose of minarets. But as you can see, the outside is not that pretty. It kind of looks like a mess from the outside, but the inside is beautifully decorated. And it sits just next to the Bosphorus, that tiny strait of land that separates Asia and Europe. Here is the inside. These medallions were added later when it became a mosque. There's a picture here, a mosaic of Mary and Jesus as a baby that is in the apse, which is the front part of the church right here. You can see all the beautiful decoration that was painted. You can see the beautiful marble that was used to build this church. It's truly an amazing, incredible building, and it's huge. Look at, you can see the scale. Here are the people that are standing on the ground floor down here. This is just an unbelievably big building. The church itself, the Christian church, split up into two different groups during the time of the Byzantines, and they had some big differences between them. We end up with two churches, one centered in Rome, and that's the Catholic Church, and one centered in Constantinople, and that's the Greek Orthodox Church. They have different leaders. The leader of the Catholic Church is the Pope. The leader of the Orthodox Church is the Patriarch. They're in different locations. The Catholic Church is centered in Rome. The Patriarch is in Constantinople. They use different languages. The Roman Catholic Church uses Latin. The Greek Orthodox Church uses Greek. And the priests have different lifestyles. Catholic priests have to be celibate. They're not allowed to have families or get married, where Greek Orthodox priests are encouraged to have families. A permanent split between these two factions happened in 1054, and it's called the Great Schism, and they never came back together since that. They were truly two separate churches after that happened. Most of the heritage of the Byzantines that's still around and still appreciated is the arts, which are mostly religious. So we've looked in class at this mosaic. You can see the close-up here of Constantine giving the city to Jesus and Mary. They also had icons, which we'll talk about in class as well, which were paintings of religious figures, mosaics, church architecture. In addition, the Byzantines preserved Greek and Roman culture. the Germanic tribes that had invaded Rome were not concerned with Greek and Roman culture. And if it weren't for the Byzantines, and particularly for Byzantine monks, people who were devoted Christian followers, who devoted their lives to their religion, we might not have had all the Greek and Roman stuff that we know about today preserved. The Greek language was preserved. Libraries full of writings from Greek and Roman times have been preserved. And Justinian's code was preserved Greek and Roman culture. This Byzantine culture spread mostly north into Russia, and the places that we see Byzantine heritage the most today outside of modern-day Turkey is Russia. The Greek Orthodox Church spread north, and eventually part of it morphed into the Russian Orthodox Church. And a guy named Saint Cyril created Cyrillic, which was a language that he used to write down the spoken language that was spoken by the people of Russia, and he based it on Greek. Cyrillic alphabet looks a lot like Greek. And he used it to translate the Bible into the languages spoken by the Slavs, the people who lived in Russia at this time in history. And he spread Christianity north into Russia. Also, we see, influenced by the Byzantines, the art and architecture in Russia as well. These are onion domes, which are typical on churches in the Russian Orthodox Church. And these are the Russian version of the domes created by the Byzantines. They took that idea and they made it their own. And they really do look like a little onion on top. So they should be easy to identify if you see them. This is St. Basil's Cathedral, which is a beautiful church in Russia. It's got these giant, extraordinarily beautifully decorated domes. Look at the bright colors here, very different than what we've seen in other places. Remember, we said the Byzantines weren't that concerned with things outside. They were concerned with making the inside beautiful. And here we see that the importance of the beauty outside the church is just as important as the beauty of what's inside. We still have high ceilings reaching up towards the heavens. This idea of height shows up again and again, and we'll see that again when we look at cathedrals in medieval Europe. This is the end of your notes on the Byzantines. Be prepared for your open note quiz next class.